Okay, so I'm gonna put in the side chat here some pictures real quick. Hold on, let me send this. Okay, I posted some pictures. I saw this on Twitter. Um, so this is the comet that what is it called? Uh,
3i divided by Atlas.
yeah, 3i divided by Atlas. So what's really interesting to me is that the worst image in this picture is the one from NASA, and the other three are from amateur astronomers that post that I found on Twitter. Um, I
That
also
taken
found
through cloud cover? Did they take these through cloud cover? Like, why do
I
they like so? Looks like they're like behind a cloud or something. I don't know.
well, I'm not sure. I just like I know that the all I know is that the one that's the least clear, the one that's like most distorted, is the one from NASA. And there are representatives in Congress. I'll try to find it. There are representative. Yeah, let me try to find this. There are representatives in Congress that are trying to unclassify information regarding this comet. I saw in the pictures. It looks like there's some weird dots around the comet. But I just wanted to know what your thoughts are, if you had any on what this really was.
Um, I haven't really formed an opinion. There's so much misinformation about it. I don't think. I don't even know what to say at this point. There's a lot of bullshit out there. This reminds me of like 9/11, where there's like so many different freaking stories and some of them contradict each other. It's like a contaminated crime scene where this crime scene's staged, but there's still evidence of the crime there, and you can't tell what's staged and what's evidence, and you have to freaking sift through it and try and figure it out. That's what this is. I think there's like disinfo, misinfo, speculation, and some true information all freaking mixed into one, and you kind of can't tell what's what. You know what I mean? Because you got that Avi Loeb, who's like a freaking Harvard astronomer, astrophysicist. He's saying shit, which who knows what could be true or not. And plus, he's biased to already think aliens exist. So he's trying to say, like, this was the wild radio signal that was detected, fucking 50 years ago. So there's a lot of bullshit out there about it. But I'm sure some of the shit's true. The thing is, how do you tell what's bullshit and what's true? You kind of can't. That's kind of the problem. I mean, what do you think about it? Have you researched this at all, mathematician? Can you give us any information?
Well, I just find it uncomfortable just in general, just not being given answers to these like what should be easy questions like why is NASA giving us a blurry picture? Um
What instrument did they take it with? Did they say?
let me see if I can find that.
Obviously, it wasn't like the Hubble or fucking James
Oh, I
Webb,
thought
right?
when you said
It
members of
says
Congress
from
were
eight
commenting, when you said members of Congress were commenting, I thought you were about to say they were going to demand a budget review of why I'm giving you so much ass money, but you're giving me these shitty quality pictures.
Yeah, that's a problem. So did you what telescope?
it says 8 different spacecraft, satellites, and telescopes.
Took one picture,
Yeah, I guess so.
so they
Hold on.
combined the
Oh,
imagery
here
of
it
8
is.
different instruments.
No,
That's
I
gotta
guess not. Okay, hold on. Here, let me post this from the subtitle of that picture.
the high-rise camera on board the Mars reconnaissance orbiter image comes. Oh yeah, this is the one from a while back. I don't know. I'm not too hip on that freaking particular image that they're saying.
Yeah, they're not releasing. Let me see if I can find the member of Congress.
How could they even focus in on that, dude? The shit wasn't designed for that crap. Even if you believe all that shit, right? If they have a satellite up there, it's taking pictures. It's not designed. When they design these things, they're designed for to do their purpose very well. And they don't you can't just be like, yeah, we're going to design a frickin' a surface surveyor, and then we're going to just turn it around and point it at the sky and do astronomy. The shit don't work like that. This isn't a fucking consumer camera that's made for general use, purpose use. These are very specific instruments. That's why you can't really take an astronomical telescope and start looking around and get good images of your surroundings terrestrially, because they're made to take images of low light conditions with a dark background. That's why you can't go frickin' really bird watching with one, and that they make ones for bird watching, and you can't use those for astronomy. So I find it hard to believe they just took the Mars frickin' reconnaissance surveyor camera and just fucking whipped it around and were like, hey, dude, now we're doing astronomy. It's find it hard to believe. Why is that image so pixelated, though?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. What's freaking weird to me though is the amateur telescopes. It just doesn't look like a freaking comet, man. That
Well, yeah,
looks
that
like
was the thing. Wasn't its tail pointed in the wrong direction or something? That was one of the other things that it
really?
became the brightest. I don't know how they knew this when it was on the other side of the sun, but then when it started being close to the sun, instead of the tail being pointed away from the sun because of the solar wind, it was pointed toward the sun.
Yeah, you're right. I just
It was
looked it up
something
now.
weird like that they were saying. But like I said, I never verified that, and you couldn't actually. I don't know how they would even figure that out. Kind of, that's one of the other things that you have to kind of trust what they're saying, because your viewpoint from Earth, you can't look at the sun. It would be very close visually to the sun, so you would need a special instrument to block out the sun, and then C3I Atlas, and that would be so fucking small. This is one of those things you kind of got to take their word for it that this is what's going on.
Well, that's why
Oh,
I'm looking at these amateur pictures, which are way more clear. Just from some of these, the people just said I took this from my telescope in my backyard.
yeah.
Um, and these look freaky as hell. I just hate if this shit is this shit's weird. If it is really weird and this isn't just like a coincidence or something. I just hate knowing that there's this much hidden information. I just wish that they would just tell us straight up, we don't know what the heck this is in the sky. But here it is. This is what it looks like.
I want to ask yourself why you would assume they know anything anyway. You were alive
Because
during the
yeah,
pandemic, right?
the
Obviously,
reason
there are a bunch
why
of fucking morons in charge.
I kind of think they don't know why, but they're pretending like they do. I think they're just pretending Like they do know why by
course.
providing us with a blurry image. I think they know it's a blurry image. I think
Their
they think
job is to tell a story and keep people from freaking the hell out, or make everybody freak the hell out in a controlled situation. But their
You know what
job really
Atlas
is to
stands
tell
for,
a
though?
story.
no what.
Atlas is the advanced. Hold on a second. They just stood this up not that long ago. The Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. So this is something that didn't even exist until 2015. So it's a decade old. And NASA was taking up, so it was a freaking, I remember even back then, I'm like, man, they're fucking so full of shit. They were giving grants for people to invent systems on how to deflect Earth-threatening objects, like, a la fucking, what is it, Armageddon, the movie Armageddon, and blast asteroids, out of the way from hitting Earth. Now, coincidentally, with 3i Atlas, I think it was on October 28th, there was supposed to be also detected by the Atlas program a near-Earth object that was going to come within 90,000 miles of Earth, and which is between the moon and the Earth, according to their nonsense. And then they just canceled all the data. And that night, that there was there was some sort of burst in Moscow. But it's hard to say whether that was the fucking Ukrainians shooting a missile at them or it was, some space debris. But this never made the news or any other thing. I got all this off of Telegram. Russian sources. So the Russians were talking about this. It wasn't being talked about in America. The point is that is this some fucking bullshit to keep funding their program? Like, I don't know. Because it is kind of a bullshit program, man.
Yeah, but like I don't see why they wouldn't just use their telescopes. I mean, they have to have a freaking telescope that has a better image than this. I mean, even if it's one of the dude's hobby telescopes or whatever that they had when they were a kid, like they can get a better image than that. And like I would imagine they would just say, "Oh, this is a weird thing. We don't know what this is." Like they
Well,
just
they're saying
never
that that's
say that.
gas, that they can't resolve it and focus in on it because that's just like emitting gas, right? That it's I think they were saying it's CO2 or something instead of water. That's frozen carbon dioxide, dry ice.
Do you
And
believe
that's why
that?
it's that color. I don't know. That's why I said there's so much garbage that's floating around. I don't know what to make of it.
Well,
That's why I just like some items in the news. When I just hear too much shit coming from too many angles, I just ignore it because I can't. There's no way I can sift through the information and determine which claims are true and which aren't.
Yeah, I get that. For me though, I have seen the device. I've seen the device that they use to identify the signatures, the color signatures on the spectrum of
Yeah.
certain chemicals. And like it's pretty freaking accurate. If you point it at something in the sky and that thing is emitting a certain chemical, like it's going to have a certain light signature that's
How do they know it's
detectable.
accurate though? That's really a problem. How do they know it's accurate?
Well, because you can test that instrument on things on planet Earth, and it does actually give the exact same phenomenon. So, like, if there's like a very specific signature that is emitted from Earth, and the thing is though, the stuff in the sky, like whether it's a bunch of stars that NASA claims it is, with these galaxies that have billions of stars for trillions of light years, whatever. That to me could be very well all be bullshit, complete
Are you
bullshit.
talking about spectroscopy?
Yeah, spectroscopy, but
It doesn't really work in the lab the same way it works in astronomy, quite a bit
Really?
different. It's a
How
little
so?
bit
I didn't know
different,
that.
dude, because you get smearing and shit. The lines aren't in the lab. Everything's well defined. You have well defined freaking, you have well defined absorption lines. The shit that's supposed to be in outer space, you get like what's called like Doppler line broadening, and then red shifting, and then like all this shit is smeared, right? It's not it's not like crisp. I'll just use an analogy. It's almost like a sharp image versus a blurry image, where you're like you're trying to figure out what something is by looking through like smoked glass or something.
Yeah, redshift does from what I understand, the redshift blurriness doesn't really affect anything at a local level, like a comet. Um, like a comet is, according to the model presented by NASA, a comet is really close. It
Yeah,
approaches the sun, and like all the redshift, that stuff's like that noise is gone. It seems like those lines are not so blurry for things that are at least
yeah.
within our solar system.
Well, I mean, I don't know. All I know is it's not as straightforward as people think it is in practice. It isn't just they just point something at the sky and go, "Oh, look, it's made of freaking CO2." It's not that simple. And a lot of it's theory laden. You know what I mean? A lot of it's like their interpretation of what they're seeing. It's an interpretation of what they're seeing. It isn't just like a straight measurement.
Do you think the lines are like blurry for the moon?
Well, that would be reflectance spectroscopy. So that's a whole nother fucking issue.
What do you mean?
Just saying that this thing is an emitter, okay? Because it's going so fast, right? Energetic particles are making the freaking comet glow. They don't claim that with the moon. They're claiming with the moon it's that the moon's not a source of light and that it's reflecting light. So you got the spectrum of the light initially, and then you got the resulting spectrum from reflection. Now, those are two different things, and like one is definitely reflecting spectroscopy is definitely theory laden. And I'm very skeptical about it for this reason. Well, why can't you use it on Earth and tell you what shit's fucking made of here? Take a picture of Statue of Liberty, see if it's made of copper. You're getting reflected sunlight, right? Just do the same thing here. Right? The moon's just reflected sunlight from the sun, right? And they're taking a picture of that light and they're going, hey, dude, the fucking moon's made of Swiss cheese. Right? So why can't you do that on Earth, dude? Why can't you take a picture of a fucking Ferrari and go, yeah, that's fucking steel fucking walls?
Yeah, I think your point makes sense. But what your point is basically that if I use the instrument on the moon, I should get a very clear signal, right?
Well, it's reflectance. It's the light has a spectrum that's hitting the moon. And then
Right.
that
Yeah,
light's being reflected and you're seeing the reflected light.
but
Right? So
you're right that I
you're
can
not
point it.
seeing the original spectrum, you're seeing a resulting spectrum. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense. But on Earth, if I point a spectrometer at the Statue of Liberty, it will tell me it's copper, right?
Well,
I think so. Isn't that how it works?
dude, fucking goddamn, man, the real dude, some CSI investigators would be they'd like to talk to you. You'd be solving a lot of crime scenes from their freaking cameras.
Well, I remember what maybe I'm missing something. I remember in AP chemistry, they turned the lights off and they lit up this
Sodium lamp,
xenon
right?
gas.
Yeah, I seen the
Yeah,
sodium
whatever.
lamps and all that shit, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. And then you look through the thing and you can see the lines like absolutely clearly where they're supposed to be according to the signature or whatever.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
kind of makes sense.
I understand the principle in the lab. I understand all that.
But so then why
It's
doesn't that
not
work
that
on the
straightforward
Statue of Liberty?
because
Oh,
it's
because it emit
because
light.
nature's messy.
Oh,
Nature's
I
just
think
messy, dude.
I think I see what you mean. The only reason I could see it is because the only source was that material not
Exactly.
the sunlight bouncing off of something else.
Yeah, and there
Okay,
was also no intervening fucking gas, and it wasn't in motion, and like there was all. It also wasn't fucking superheated, like it fucking because the other thing that affects the spectral line width is the temperature.
okay, that makes sense.
So, I mean, that is also another confounding variable. So, like, all I'm saying is that maybe it's fucking accurate what they're doing, but it's heavily laden in theory, and then it comes to like, how do you actually verify? So, if you got an observation, and then your interpretation's heavily laden in theory, how did you verify that that extra component that you slapped onto it, the theory, is actually correct? You'd have to go to that fucking place and take a scoop of 3i fucking Atlas and go, yeah, we're
Yeah.
right. But you kind of can't do that with any astronomical things. So there is some level of, you know, uncertainty in this stuff.
That makes sense.
And I'm not even trying to be like super skeptical. I'm just being fucking, just doing like a rigorous evaluation. Not even that rigorous. Just like an evaluation. Like, hey, dude, can I fucking rely on this 100%? No, I can rely on it, but not 100%. There's a chance the theory could be wrong. Maybe 80%, maybe 70%. I don't know. But the 3i Atlas thing is interesting. But
Yeah, I just hate stuff like that. Like I
have you
hate
heard of the
like
wow signal? Have you
yeah.
seen that connection between this thing and the wow signal?
No, I haven't.
So they got a wow radio burst fucking in the 70s or something, SETI did, with a bunch of radio telescopes. This Harvard astrophysicist said that if you roll back, just according to him, where this thing was at the time that wow signal was, based upon its trajectory or whatever the fuck it's doing, that it was in the same place where the wow signal originated from way back in the 70s. So it's radio telescopes. They're looking for what is a non-nature signal, right? Some signal, some radio emission that appeared to come from intelligent life. So SETI is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. So they were looking for some radio signal that could not be natural. They got a signal and it said wow. And they wrote wow on the fucking thing. That's why it's called the wow signal. Because the person that was monitoring it wrote wow on the printout. Dude says that this 3i Atlas was at that location in the sky when that wow signal came out. And he can tell from rolling back, I guess, where it was, 30 years ago, based upon its current trajectory and path. Now, this is part of the story. I haven't verified whether any of this shit's true. It's just like, I just hear this shit in passing, like on Twitter or fucking YouTube or whatever. I don't know if any of that crap's true. I know Avi Loeb is a big frickin' alien nut, and I don't even know how he's still on the faculty at Harvard. 50 years ago, they would have fired him in like 3 seconds, but,
A
I
part of
got
me
something
though
for you.
makes yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to post it. Give me a second. So this is a YouTube link. This is a screenshot from the comments. If you watch this whole video, you see some very weird stuff going on. And there's numerous people that have recorded videos like this. It's basically low light, infrared, or night vision goggles looking up into the sky. Now, a lot of people believe there's all kinds of satellites up in the sky, and they would be, something that's streaking across your vision, right, in like a pretty consistent rate of speed and a pretty consistent direction. But when you go out and you actually look at these things, you see things that are going very fast, then all of a sudden they slow down. You see things that are going slow, then all of a sudden they zigzag and take off in another direction. I've witnessed that with my own eyes. Other people have witnessed it and recorded it, and plenty of people comment about it all the time. So when you look up into the sky with advanced vision devices or low light vision devices, there's all kinds of unexplained aerial phenomena going on that makes no sense from any standard mainstream interpretation of what's going on up in the sky. You could just go out and look at it yourself.
It's an entirely different dimension of anomaly, you know? Is he speaking? Or is he just lighting up?
No, I'm just like watching this video.
So, I would imagine like the people that have a more true cosmological understanding of Earth and whatnot would understand that there's, along with the cycles that they allow us to know about, there's probably cycles they don't allow us to know about, where there may be an uptick in anomalous activity in the sky, and then they of course co-opt these anomalies and write them into heliocentrism in some way to reinforce that whole structure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I'm never gonna understand it, dude. Fucking, what's wrong with these Zoomers, bro?
Yeah, well, speaking of Zoomers, man. So this guy in the clip, I isolated a little clip out where he's focused on one, and he's zooming in, and you could see it streaking in the sky. And normally you'd think, well, it must be a sky satellite or something, and it's just going to keep going at the same speed across the guy's screen, but don't. It streaks in, and then it slows down very quickly.
what the fuck?
Yeah, brother. People have eyewitness accounts and even some video accounts of quote unquote sky phenomena like that. Zips in, stops abruptly, and sometimes will even take a 90-degree turn. And there's nothing that we know of, dude, that can move like that. You know, you're talking tens upon tens of what the scale would be, thousands of miles an hour, come to essentially, you know, an eighth of the speed almost instantaneously, and then take off in another direction. Like if a human being was in something like that, they'd be liquefied.
It's like fucking blinking. What the hell? That thing just slows. That's so weird, dude. It just slows down.
Yeah,
The way it
there's many
slows down
people,
too
dude.
is, you
Yep.
know, I'm pretty sure I saw some weird shit like this in the sky before, and I remember thinking to myself, like, there's just no way I saw that. Like ever since then, I keep telling myself, there's just no way I saw that. And because it's like it's such a weird anomaly, and I just hate like just thinking, well, I guess I'm just gonna move on my day and keep doing whatever because after witnessing something like that, I always think though a lot of our ancestors, well, maybe not yours, but a lot of a lot of the people back in ancient civilizations would worship the sky.
Oh, have you heard the new hotness? Oh, they went back and they looked at photographic plates of the stars from back in between 1947 and 1950. Could have been 51. Yeah, and they detected things that they seem to be satellites for the space program. Yeah, I don't know how that works exactly. Satellites before satellites. This
Wow.
is peer reviewed in the astronomical journals. This isn't like me making shit up or some dude I saw on Twitter. It's in the leaflets of the Astronomical Society of the Pacific. I think it was in November or October edition.
And what do they say? Like there were that there are these lights in the sky that move for some reason?
Yeah, that there's these lights in the sky that move that are consistent with being freaking orbiting spacecraft, but it was pre Sputnik.
Wait, like 60s Sputnik?
Yeah. So they're photographic plates from the 40s, the 50s.